Well, then we're ready. We'll call this meeting a special meeting of the Oversight Board for the Glendale Successor Agency. And may I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Board members Abkarian?
Here.
Berry? McIntyre?
Here.
Nakasone?
Here.
Ochoa?
Here.
Seeger? And Chair Raggio.
Here. We have a quorum. The next item, please.
So the agenda for the August 3rd, 2016 regular meeting of the Glendale Oversight Board was posted on Friday, July 29, 2016 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Next item is approval of minutes of Special Oversight Board meeting of Wednesday, July 23rd, 2014 and May 4th, 2016.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Chair Raggio, in order to approve the July 23rd minutes, we would need Mr. Steger, who's not present, and in order to approve the May minutes, we would need Mark Berry, who's not here.
All right, then we'll just
Carry them over.
Next item, please.
Sure. At action items 4A, we have Director of Community Development regarding Oversight Board consideration of WGB Hotel owners' offer to purchase the agency interest in the revenue participation obligation of Hilton Hotel located at 100 West Glen Oaks Boulevard. At 4A1, resolution authorizing acceptance of 100 WGB Hotel owners' offer in the amount of $3,707,535 to purchase the agency's interest in the Hilton revenue participation obligation and authorizing execution of the purchase and sales agreement to consummate the sale. And at 482, resolution authorizing amendment of the instrument imposing a lien and covenants of real property record against the Hilton Hotel in order to allow disposition of agency's interest in Hilton's revenue participation obligation.
Move to approve.
I have one thing that I have to share with you, and that is that I was a member of the City Council that acquired the Red Lion, and I was the redevelopment chair that did the search on it. And as a consequence, I've checked with legal, and I can vote.
We should give you the Red Lion itself and put it there.
Wouldn't be bad. Yes, go ahead.
And I usually rely Mark's report 16. Here, assuming it. Handed by and why would we not? And second, why would
And it's a very good question. The report, let me say, the report was done with an initial offer from the owner of the hotel. And that is to buy out their participation and their covenants, which are to maintain the property and to maintain the hotel as a first-class hotel. Those were two very important covenants to us that we wanted to survive after this buyout. And so in then adjusting what's the value, if you have to keep those covenants, that's where we came to the 10% discount. Now, as we look back on the growth of the hotel, the first 17 years, they've actually experienced a 2.59 growth. So we think the 3.0 growth rate is appropriate. The discount rate of 10% we think is appropriate given that we retain those covenants for maintenance of the grounds and high quality and first class hotel. So with those two things, we think the 10% discount rate is more appropriate. When this memo was prepared, those were offered to purchase as well, so then that hotel could become, a Motel 6 in something less than first class. We said, no, that needs to stay, and so there was an adjustment in the discount rate. Well, the higher number represents a higher growth rate. Now, things that would affect growth, and again, we looked back 17 years and found that the hotel grew at 2.59% cumulative. We saw a drop in the early aughts due to the dot-com bust and the terrorist attacks of 9/11, when hotel travel fell off. We saw that again in 08, 09, and in 09, I think their revenues dropped 20% through the recession. Now, we expect those things to happen again, some type of economic event like that to happen again, as well as an increase in the number of hotel units, rooms that will be in Glendale, providing more competition. You'll also see a drop in 08 when the Embassy Suites came online. And so naturally there was a little less. Their average daily rate is always going to go up. It's never going to come down. But their occupancy that's achieving that average daily rate will go down. And so revenues will fluctuate according to those economic conditions. So again, we applied a 3% rate going forward. We applied a 10% discount rate to get to the 3.7 net present value, and staff, and in consultation with this consultant, we believe that that's appropriate given that we're hanging on to those other covenants.
I don't know that we have contradictory numbers, though. I mean, you have the analysis. The analysis is effectively the same since the spring. I guess we can have them refresh their report, but my guess is that's going to come along with a price tag. I mean, you know what the narrative is. You know what the transactional details are. That's if it were up to speaking for the city, being the city's representative, we'd just as soon keep the full $3.7 million or the ongoing revenue stream as opposed to peeling it off to all the different taxing entities. But based on the structure and the fact that we can't compel them to take us out of this deal. This is the owner of the hotel coming to the city to say, we want to get you out of our hair. And so if we said, great, we want to use a higher discount rate, number isn't 3.7, our number is $8 million, my guess is they come back and say, then you guys keep your covenants, and maybe you get money later on, maybe you don't. I mean, that's the
And in
situation.
fact, their offer was $3 million, and we told them no. The low end for us is the number that we think is the appropriate would be 3.7. So they adjusted their offer to us to 3.7. Mr. Ochoa is correct, and absent a staff report. This is something that is actually not in our agreement, the sale of that participation. That's one of the actions that you're being asked for today. A couple of other things. The Department of Finance has, in their dissolution of redevelopment, the very reason you're here, they have asked us to get out of the redevelopment business. Absent this buyout, we stay in this forever, and we don't know what that number is going to be. Given fluctuations, we think it's going to be this number. And we don't know what the Department of Finance is going to do in the future. Because if we continue to hold on to this, we continue to have redevelopment activity, at some point, the Department of Finance, we anticipate, is going to say, hey, when are you going to get out of business? And we'll say, never, the way this is. We don't know what that will cause them to do. There very well could be a piece of legislation that says all of these are no longer valid. They go away. We saw that with the loans, and so we as your staff are recommending that you take what we think is the present day value of that future stream at an appropriate discount rate, assuming appropriate growth, and use that money today for whatever purpose each individual entity wants to use it for. Yes, that's low range, yes. Yes.
Any further discussion?
Well, now I have a question. So prolonging the covenant, you're basically valuing that at the difference between the 8% discount rate and the 10% discount rate, so the $1.6 million?
You could look at it that way. With that obligation, the value of the with that obligation staying in place, the value of the participation goes down, or the discount rate goes up.
I guess I'm lost because I thought it was a net present value calculation, which would have, I mean, the revenue stream is going to be the revenue stream, right? Not really.
Well, the revenue share is what it is. Your formula is set on how much you would receive. So the 3.7 is a net present value,
correct,
discounted at 10% of what we believe that future revenue stream will be, given a 3% growth rate. And I tell you, it could be higher, it could be lower. We don't know. We don't know what the Department of Finance is going to do in the future. We don't know what kind of economic events will affect this. What we do know is there are more more hotel rooms coming to the city of Glendale, which will only affect this number, I think, to reduce it, if even marginally.
Is that satisfactory, Ross?
We are not.
Correct. That's what we're retaining, and that's why the higher discount rate.
Well, just to add to that and give you a little history, the one purpose that we had as a council at that time was to bring in an A-class hotel. And that was an objective. And the end result was we met that objective at that time. So is there anything further?
Well, one more thing. And that definition of the A-class, is that within the agreement? Or how do you say it's A-class or B-class?
I think the term is first class, yeah?
Mr. Nakasone, it's right now it's an interpretation. Certainly the recent agreements that we've done with this administration, and certainly Ms. Van Meiden and myself, we've actually listed out the qualities, what defines that. Back in 1992, in the early 90s, They just use the term first-class hotel, so it's an interpretation. Certainly, if they drop to limited service and discounted rooms, you call them on it. You say, no, I don't think so.
If I may, one of the things that was a bit of a stumbling block for me at first was the discount rate. I totally agree with the growth rate, but then when I started realizing the basis for the projections of the revenue share forward-looking and kind of the volatility in the economy, and then kind of backwards mapping as one of the largest recipients of these funds, the school district, the processing costs, the processing costs of kind of incrementally taking this money into perpetuity forever, it reaches a point where the dollar value will be so small because it offsets part of my state revenues that the transaction hardly makes sense in the long run versus in the short run for us. So from the school district's perspective, we were a little shaken at first by the discount rate, but once we understood the probable volatility of the revenue projection, we started to wrap our head around it a little more because we ran probably 15 different scenarios on this. But in the end, it made sense to have a shorter life to this particular asset for us than over the longer run. That was all.
Thank you. Further comments? Yeah, I have a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Board members: Abkarian,
Here. Yes.
Barry, McIntyre,
Yes.
Nakasone,
Yes.
Ochoa,
Yes.
Steger, and Chair Raggio.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item, please.
Next item, oral communications. No cards were submitted. And then we have board member and staff comments.
I did want to just make a note that we are planning to have a meeting, a special meeting on September 29th to consider the ROP 16 to 17 amendment.
November 29th. That also is a Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay.
And Anahid will be calling your offices to make sure that that works in your schedule, and if it doesn't for some reason, we'll find another date that works.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to announce that this will be my last meeting, and so I'll have the Chancellor's office assign a new community college representative for you. No, I'm retiring at the end of summer, so. Oh my God. Thank you.
Thank you for your service and congratulations.
Ron, having retired in 1990 and knowing what comes after that, you're now the recipient of every volunteer request. And the one thing you have to learn is that no is a good answer at times. I just want to congratulate you on retirement, and because it's a demonstration of years and doing what you like. And just want to wish you well in your retirement. And we're going to miss you here at the board.
Very good, thank you.
Send someone who can be a good vice.
Yeah.
You have a good time when you're retired.
Thank you.
Mr. Padre, I just have one comment. First of all, congratulations and best of luck to you. And second is, I just wanted to tell you that the packet that was put together was excellent. I mean, it just gave us more than we probably needed. So I just wanted to congratulate the staff for doing a great job.
They always are. Do we have anything else? This meeting is adjourned.